In 326, the great Constantine was on his way to the Eternal City to celebrate his 20th anniversary of his accession to power. He had just defeated Eastern Emperor Licinius and became, after the long 40 years, a sole emperor of the Roman Empire. However, on his way to Rome, he suddenly ordered an execution of his firstborn son and heir Crispus. Crispus' wife Helena and their son then suddenly disappeared. A couple of days later, Constantine's wife and Crispus' stepmother Fausta was killed by Constantine as well, by being hurled into a boiling bath. After the massacre, all victims were subjugated to damnation memoriae, condemnation of memory. Just a week before, Crispus was an heir to the Roman throne and a favorite son of Constantine, and Fausta an undisputed empress. A week after, they were both dead. Their names were removed from inscriptions and their statues were destroyed. To utter their names would be a death sentence. So, what the hell happened? And why? Given the damnation memoriae, we have zero literal sources from that time, so we need to rely on authors that lived much later. And by merging all literal sources, we can create two theories that tell us what might have happened. Theory number 1. Fausta manipulated Constantine into killing Crispus. One theory states Fausta plotted against Crispus to ensure that her 3 own sons she had with Constantine become the only heirs to the imperial throne. She convinced Constantine that his son Crispus was plotting against him, and outraged Constantine, who was known for his short temper, immediately executed his son. But Constantine's mother, Saint Helena, enraged by the death of her grandson, persuaded Constantine that Fausta had lied about the plot. So outraged Constantine then killed his wife as well, by throwing her into a hot bath. This is the first theory. Theory number 2. Fausta had a sexual relationship with Crispus. John Chrysostomos and Zosimos' story is a little bit different.
What are you doing, stepmom?
In this scenario, Constantine found out about an intimate relationship between his wife and his son.
Honey, I'm home!
All around me are familiar faces, worn out.
Furious Constantine proceeded then to kill them both and condemned their memories to avoid an embarrassment. This is the theory number 2. So which one is true? The first theory of a conspiracy of a stepmother against her stepson that eventually backfires seems like the most realistic, but upon a closer look we find many holes in it. Firstly, Constantine intended to recreate the tetrarchy, the rule of 4 emperors. And in 326, Constantine had 4 sons, Crispus included, and the sons he had with Fausta were on the same level as Crispus, so there was no need to get rid of him. Another fact that makes the story not hang together well is the permanent damnation memoriae. If Constantine really discovered that Fausta falsely accused Crispus of treason, he would probably have redeemed his son's memory. But he didn't. The stepson-stepmom affair might look like a tabloid story, but seems like the most likely one. Let's focus on some facts that support the theory of a love triangle. After the emperor's death in 337, none of sons of Fausta and Constantine, Constantine II, Constantius II, and Constans, yes, the great Constantine liked to name places and people after himself, redeemed their mother's memory. This is by far the most damning evidence that Fausta must have done something horrendous in 326, that even her own kids probably intended to bury a secret. Or what? Of a possible intimacy between their mom and their stepbrother? That would damage the dynasty greatly. Another clue, in 326 Constantine was approximately 56 years old, maybe even older. His date of birth is very unclear. Crispus was 31 and Fausta was 37 at the same time. So there is a certain chance there were sparks between those two, considering Fausta was closer in age to her stepson, whom she also spent a lot of time in Trier, than to her husband. Another reason why she might be unfaithful to her husband may have been remorse over the deaths of her father and brother, who were both murdered, killed respectively by Constantine. Her dad, Emperor Maximian, was suicided by Constantine in 310, and her brother Maxentius was defeated and killed by the same person in the famous Battle of Milvian Bridge 2 years later. And being married to a guy who kills your family members may not be the best recipe for a perfect relationship. So this is my take on this ancient mystery. What do you think that really happened? Was it an affair or a failed plot? Or perhaps something totally different? Given the lack of sources, the deaths of Crispus and Fausta may not have been linked at all. Let me know in the comments, I really want to know what is your theory.